What
If
comes to
you've
your
got
mind? Yeah.
someone you can collaborate with, like me and Suze, will share our projects. So like I'll get a job and share it with her and she'll get a job so that we're both making money, you know? So that's always
Mm-hmm.
quite handy. But also in another sense, imagine you collaborate with someone and then that brand, maybe you've just helped out, but then that brand will know you've worked on it and maybe they'll see your work. Even if it's not photography, you could be a stylist and you're collaborating with a photographer and that photographer's put your name through to the publication. They might pick you again as a stylist to do other jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's really handy.
This is your host, Dyutama, but you can call me DJ. And I love to inspire food photographers to dream. I spent 15 years as an architect studying buildings and constructing hospitals before taking the biggest leap of faith of my life, which was setting up a food styling and food photography business right from scratch. If you're a dreamer like me, wanting to start a new photography business or grow your existing food photography business, jump right into a world where I share practical, actionable strategies to improve your photography skills, to work with clients, make more money, all with a fearless mindset. This is the My Food Lens podcast, and we take you one step closer to your dreams. So let's go. Welcome to another episode of the My Food Lens podcast. And today we continue our conversation with Aimee Twigger, whose beautiful work you must have definitely seen on Instagram. She goes by Twig Studio on Instagram. And she is here to continue our chat on collaborations. So today it's going to get a bit spicy, a bit intense, and we're going to talk all about money, finances, how to collaborate on financially lucrative projects, client projects, paid projects, brands, and also what if collaborations don't go as expected and there are conflicts? What do we do about it? And also, how do we actually look at collaborations, not just in person, but also virtually? So keep an open mind and continue to open your horizons, open your thinking about collaboration, and let new creativity, new ways of seeing art, and new ways of bringing in money into your business, sweep you away as we continue our conversation with Aimee in part 2 of this episode.
We kind of need to set our intention. Like, what is the goal of this collaboration project? Sometimes it's for a paid project for a client. So obviously getting the end product in good quality is important. And sometimes it's a learning experience. And so having that learning at the end of it is the end product. And so success really is dependent on what our intention is, right? And
Yeah.
you were touching on something that is quite important, and that is enriching your portfolio. So tell us a little bit about that, Aimee. How do you think that collaboration has helped you create a portfolio that is different, or what kind of a portfolio has it helped you create?
Yeah, I think before I started working more with Suze, I did a bit of drinks photography, but it wasn't really something I did a lot of. And product photography, like I could do it, but I didn't have a lot of evidence in my portfolio of like how great I could do it. So working with her and doing stuff that's like really light and bright, or I didn't really have a lot of that. Most of my style, I was always getting jobs that was like dark and moody and oldie worldy. So it was really nice to get some shots that were not like that, like that were more modern, bright, and just so I wasn't so pigeonholed as the one style.
And how did you get that? So you were in the dark, moody zone, and you have a
I
you
feel,
have
yeah, I felt
tell
like
us.
it was my own fault because that's all I shared on Instagram. So everyone always thought that I was like some cottage person that just baked Mary pies all day and like, so all the jobs I got work like that, which is great, but that niche is quite small. Like, so I would get work in like autumn and winter, like sort of cozy, but it was always
Hmm.
quite difficult. And I feel like that market is so small. And sometimes it's amazing to be a photographer that has like one specific style and you're well known in that style and you get hired for that style. But I feel like it's like a weighing scale. Like, if you want to have a lot of work and you want to just be a more general photographer, then you do really need to show that you're not just like a one trick pony, you can do other things.
Mm-hmm. So you were in this project with Suze, and did it push you to kind of explore that style of photography? Or was that something you
No,
saw Suze doing? So you were like, oh, let me try that as well. How did you start or get
I was
into
I
that?
was picked for that project because it
Mm-hmm.
was dark and moody and oldie world,
Mm.
but it was with drinks, and I was like, yeah.
How
I
did you
think
get to the light side?
that project was all dark and moody, but the light side, I think I just really wanted to try something new. I think I've done this style for like
Mm.
10 years and I was like getting bored of it myself.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't feeling authentic anymore. Like that was my taste, but I felt like I'd kind of grown out of it a bit and I wanted to explore other things.
Mm-hmm. And having someone, alongside you in that journey kind of helped you. And you
Yeah.
not only had support, but you also had critique and feedback and help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
wonderful.
it's funny now because when you look at like my Pinterest board of ideas, they're all like really bright and crazy and not what you would associate me with, I think. And every time I come, I get my little board of ideas out and show Suze. I'm like, can we do something like this? And then she'll show me her ideas and we'll end up just trying like practicing things and it's great fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, the joy of creating with another creative soul is something else.
Yeah.
You said that you started this collaboration because it was a paid project with a brand. And you also didn't have many drinks photos at that time, and you were kind of building
Yeah.
up your beverage photography portfolio. So has building that portfolio, has this collaboration kind of resulted in more such projects or more clients? Or have you seen a shift or the way brands approach you, or whose attention you're grabbing now?
Yeah, I think I've noticed a shift in the type of brands that approach me. I'm still getting jobs that for like the old world
Yeah.
cottagecore type thing, which I think I always will, which I'm happy about that. I do like to shoot in that style.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting more sort of fun lifestyle type, I'm bringing that lifestyle element that I used a lot in that oldie world type style because I love shooting hands and people. So I'm bringing the skills I have in that, but bringing them into a more, modern setting, say like a drinks brand sat on the beach, having
Mm-hmm.
a barbecue rather than like a picnic with like frilly, and
Mm-hmm.
bringing the same skills, but just bringing
Mm-hmm.
it in a different era.
Mm-hmm. And you've done a few collaboration projects in the past as well. Did you see any kind of shift in more paid projects, more clients, different kind of clients? Did any of that, like I would love our audience to know how collaborations can actually lead to more clients or
Yeah,
projects.
definitely. Say with Roz from Her Dark Materials, like her house is so beautiful. And when we were doing those sort of dark and moody shoots, it really did give that extra element to make our shots like wow. Whereas if I was at home, I don't have the same sort of setup, so my shots would be quite tight. Whereas you could do a real sort of lifestyle scene, and that was really helped get more
Mhm.
work because people can see how I can style like a whole set, not just like a table scene, if you know what I mean.
So you are again expanding, enriching your portfolio, which is reaching more
Yeah,
clients, and then you're getting, hired for a lot more variety of work, not
yeah.
just the same kind. It does help
And
there.
with Roz, we did a lot of sort of still life, sort of old masters style things. So I've had a lot of jobs. I did that style anyway. That's how me and Roz became friends. But I felt like when we're together, we always create like really amazing stuff. And whenever we posted it, people used to be like, "Oh, I love it when you two are together. You create such cool stuff." And it's always better, I think, when there's more people. You can create bigger scenes and
Mm-hmm.
just you have more confidence to do stuff like that. And I think Roz's house, I was always so, oh, I want to come and shoot in your house, just to have that extra space. Because I think if you shoot at home, you've really got like one corner of your house
Mm-hmm.
or one room, you like one studio, and you find you do the same things over and over. Like you'll probably have like the same angles and you've got backdrops. Whereas with a house like Roz's, it wasn't backdrops, it was like the real room, you know,
Yeah.
you didn't need backdrops and stuff.
And was there ever a time where you actually went in for a collaboration with another creative or more creatives, just wanting to create a portfolio so that you can start reaching new clients? Like that was your intention. Did that ever happen?
No, I think it's been more organic than that, really. But I think if you were to both sort of have that ambition, you know, both collaborators have that sort of want to do it, then it would work really well.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Like if you're both
good
coming
thought.
together
Yes.
on like an equal sharing of knowledge.
Yes. Yes. And if you're both on the same page that, okay, let's
Yeah,
do this so we can target client, or we
yeah.
can start doing that. Yeah, that's a really a good point. But has collaboration helped you reach new audience or new markets? Like I know that you said you
Um,
hold a certain persona in, people's eyes, but have you seen a change in reaching new audiences?
yeah. I think now when I approach brands, I kind of do it thinking I'm part of a duo, like me and Sue. We've
Mhm.
kind of got that. So I guess I approach brands thinking like that. So alcohol brands and things that I wouldn't have probably worked with before.
Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't have worked with them before because they were
I
drinks brands, and you
not,
didn't have
yeah,
the portfolio that time.
yeah, not just that, but I don't feel like my style. I mean, it probably would have worked for like a whiskey brand or something, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe sort of, like more modern type brands that want to appeal to the younger audience. Because I
Mm.
feel like alcohol brands have got like a certain age that they try to, appeal to.
Mm-hmm. How about like geographic location wise? When you're collaborating, you are also engaging with folks who are from other places. And so, has that helped to kind of increase your reach, or that now you feel like, oh, yeah, I can now, maybe there's a local brand, but it's a bit out of town. Maybe it's in London or some place where you wouldn't approach them before, but now you're like, oh, yeah, they can see this collaboration with, maybe Kimberly, who's based in London. And then so now I know that I can reach that market or that geographic location to be able to pitch to that client. Did that happen, or did that mindset change?
Yeah. I think before as well, I was always seeing things quite black and white. Like I was thinking, oh, I'm using Suze as an example again. Like we'll look at brands to like pitch to, and I'll be like, oh no, that one's based in Sweden. And Suze will be like, yeah, and I always had quite sort of narrow-mindedness, but like these brands are worldwide. It doesn't matter where it's from. So that's kind of helped in that sense as well, because it's made me realize
Mm-hmm.
not to be so close to home.
And especially with drinks, who doesn't love
Yeah.
that? And there's no region which doesn't have their own, signature special. And especially you are in, near
Yeah.
close to Scotland and close to the whiskey region. So there's so many brands that are sitting right at your doorstep, so
Yeah.
there's access to so many of those. And so building a drinks portfolio was wise, and it was,
Yeah.
strategic, but also creatively enriching, because it was something you felt it was a gap in your portfolio. So you kind of filled that gap in. So many
Yeah.
reasons to do that. Are there any projects that you feel, kind of collaboration projects that you feel can be financially rewarding? Like, at the end of this, we're going to make money. Like, is there something that someone can think
Yeah.
about, what
If
comes to
you've
your
got
mind? Yeah.
someone you can collaborate with, like me and Suze, we'll share our projects. So like I'll get a job and share it with her and she'll get a job so that we're both making money, you know? So that's always
Mm-hmm.
quite handy. But also in another sense, imagine you collaborate with someone and then that brand, maybe you've just helped out, but then that brand will know you've worked on it and maybe they'll see your work. Even if it's not photography, you could be a stylist and you're collaborating with a photographer and that photographer's put your name through to the publication, they might pick you again as a stylist to do other jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's really handy.
So one collaboration leads to more paid projects.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's been jobs I've done where other brands have seen it and been like, oh, I love what you did for this brand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from collaborations I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And a job I just did recently, they really liked shots that I had done with Roz, and they wanted to use Roz's house. So then Roz, she got to be involved in that as well and got money from that. So that helped.
Mm.
So
Oh,
yeah, I
wow.
think there is lots of options.
Yeah, there are options to be financially rewarded and creatively rewarded. I like that. Well, I want to get into something spicy now. And
Oh,
that is,
okay.
we've talked about everything going so well and so beautiful and everything is lovely. But not all collaboration projects go down well. Like they could be
Yeah.
maybe not in your personal experience, but there are challenges. Like when you do have creative folks, there could be some challenges that come across, or what would be some challenges you would say that photographers can face when they are collaborating with other creatives?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky, but so I haven't had any experiences. But I guess if you collaborate with someone and it's like a joint, you both own the rights to the work that you've created, and maybe, they've ended up going off and getting work from it. And sometimes I guess in that sense, it can be tricky if you don't have a good friendship with them, and things like that could happen, I guess.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about how do the rights work when two people create the same work? You both take different photos, so you own your own photos, but is there, tell us a little bit more.
A lot of the time, if I'm shooting with like Roz or something like that, we'll take our own. But when I'm with Suze, we tend to we just use one camera and take the shots. So I guess we both sort of own the copyright.
Mm-hmm. But that's because you have developed that friendship and understanding.
Yeah.
And you know that would not be in conflict at any point. But
Yeah.
if someone is collaborating with someone for the first time and they are not the best and closest of friends, then it's always a good idea to clarify this point. It's so important.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that you brought it up. This could be a big one, really big one.
Yeah.
And it could really create some kind of bitterness. And let's say you are in the process of creating and you're taking videos or photos, or you're in that process, and there are certain conflicts that can arise. Maybe someone is not approving of the setup. Let's say it's a expensive setup. Like let's say you have a whole table full of food, and you only have limited time to create the photos and videos, and everybody wants to kind of have their because they want to get their shot there. So there might be some kind of conflict or some kind of unpleasant situation where not everyone is getting their bit. How does one go about that in a collaboration?
Yeah, that's tricky. I think that's why I feel like you do have to have quite a good relationship, or you have to be patient, and you kind of have to set boundaries before you start and say, like, you have to be courteous, like don't hog the tripod or hog the space, because sometimes, if you think, okay, I've done this angle, now do you want to come here? And you've got to kind of just, yeah, I never really thought about it, but sometimes when I've been to, say, workshops, and there's like one scene that's been set up and there's lots of people trying to take shots of the same scene, you can see some people like at the back that don't get a chance. So yeah, I guess that can happen, and there can be people that feel a bit pushed out by people that are really in their sort of creative zone.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to pick and to work with those who you kind of want to either learn from or from before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having that mutual respect.
That's what's so good about Instagram, because I feel like you have a good idea, like you send each other messages and you kind of, even before you've actually met, you kind of have that sort of bond in a way, don't you, where you are friends almost beforehand. And maybe the first job you do together won't be a paid one. It will just be like Roz always calls it, a play date, where you just go and have a day of being creative. And then if you enjoy, if it went well, then maybe you do more,
And what about, have you ever done like social media collaborations where you are, in the digital space, online, you are collaborating for a challenge or social media campaign, with someone else where you're not physically present with them taking photos, but it's just an initiative that you both are doing maybe to grow your audience or to reach, new creatives. Have you ever engaged in anything like that?
Yeah, loads of times. Sometimes with Sylvia, like we both said we would shoot the same recipe, but we'd do it in our own style, and then we'd both share it and show like how different it was. Or like there's loads of photography challenges, and they're always really fun.
And
That's a good first way to do it actually, because I feel
yeah.
like you do learn a lot because say like Kimberly's challenge, she'll have the prompts for each day. So sometimes those will be complete opposite for what you normally would do. But if you've never shot in that style before, you might feel a bit lost.
And are there
It kind of gives you confidence.
like curveballs or any conflicts that you see? Let's say you are collaborating with another photographer and you're running a challenge, to grow your audience. Has there been any disagreement or conflicts that you potentially had, or you could see that might come up in a collaboration of that sort?
I don't think so.
That's good to know.
Okay.
That's encouraging.
Maybe I'm just not like a confrontational person. I don't know.
Maybe
I
you.
always see the good. I see the good in everything.
Good, and that's a good learning as well for our audience to take away. So basically, you can always have a positive experience and always have a great time collaborating with other creatives. You just have to set your intention and know who that person is. You have to
Yeah.
choose your people wisely.
But
Thank
I
you.
feel like
Yes.
even if it didn't go so well, you've learned then as well, haven't you? You've still taken something from it, You've like maybe learned, okay, that's not the type of creative I need to find someone that's a bit different.
Yeah, yeah. And the reason why I'm asking this is because there are a lot of folks who actually hesitate. One, they hesitate to ask somebody. They might not think that either they're an equal, or they might not think like, the fear of rejection holds people back
Yeah,
a
I
lot.
get that.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
could be one reason. And then the other reason why people may hesitate to collaborate is to think that, oh my God, I don't want to spoil my relationship with people, or I don't want to get into an experience or a negative experience. And so I'm just going to sit back and, let this thought pass. So there are a lot of reasons why people would not want to get into collaboration, or they may feel challenged, creatively challenged at that,
Yeah.
oh my God, I don't know enough. They know more. So that kind of an
Yeah.
insecure feeling. So there are lots of reasons why creatives actually hold themselves back from collaborating, reaching out, just putting themselves out there and asking somebody to
Yeah.
be part of the creative journey. And I want to remove those objections.
Yeah.
And
I feel like
yes.
every creative has that element. I know I do. Like I have such bad confidence in myself, and I'm always like, oh, I don't know if that looks good, But actually, I found my confidence has grown since collaborating because they kind of lift you up in a sense and make you feel like, oh wow, they're so happy with what you've done together, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I am quite good at this,
Yeah.
So it
That
actually has its positives as well.
that feedback loop is so important. And
Yeah.
also, if someone just tells you that, oh, yeah, this looks great, you could have also tried this version, or you could have just tweaked this a little bit and seen how that works out. And that little
Yeah.
feedback loop is such a boost.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, I have one last question for you. And
Okay.
that is, I know we've spoken about it a million times already, but if there is any one big advice that you can give our photographers who are looking to expand their skills and expand their business through collaboration, basically dipping their toes into this territory of collaboration, what would be one big advice that you can leave them with?
Well, I suppose I'm quite privileged that I can travel and stay with Suze and have that sort of in-person experience of collaboration. So, like you mentioned, virtual like challenges and stuff. Maybe that's a good way to start if you are wanting to collaborate. It kind of dips your toe in and gives you a little confidence, and that sort of, like you said, that loop of that would be my first thing to say. Start maybe doing something online, and then if you have the opportunity to go and do it in person once, then go for it, because it's great.
Yeah. And this is great for a person like me. I live in an island, like literally, I live in
Yeah.
a city island. And
Yeah.
there are very few collaborative opportunities here. It's a very competitive market. And
Yeah.
so, my collaboration in the city is very limited. The opportunities are very limited. And
Yeah.
so just opening yourself to a virtual collaboration is amazing.
Yeah.
Also something, the collaboration that something that you spoke about earlier was retreats. And
Yeah.
that's when I met Suze as well. It was a retreat last year. And so just expanding your network and then seeing if there are collaboration opportunities there
Yeah.
and there is some kind of
I th-
similar thinking.
yeah. I mean, retreats are a huge investment, but as someone that's been on the teaching side and on the attendee side, like, I do feel like you just get so much out of them. Even if you don't necessarily even take loads of amazing pictures, you come home with all these skills that you might not even realize you've come home with until a few weeks later, and you're like, oh,
Yes.
so they are, especially in this industry, like we say, it's quite lonely. As a creative, like, a lot of us do tend to do most of it all ourselves at home without any team. So to meet up with other creatives and hear them have the same stories, you feel validated in a way. You make friendships, and they've been really life-changing.
Absolutely. And what a beautiful note to end our conversation today. I mean, I'm so grateful because I feel like you've really given a positive spin to collaboration. You've elevated the experience of collaboration through your opinion and your experience on it. Like there is only good that can come out of it. And I love that thought. So thank you so much, Aimee. Before you go, could you leave your social media handles, your website for our audience to come take a look at all your beautiful work and your collaboration projects?
Yeah, sure. So my Instagram is @twigstudios, and my website is twigstudios.com.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much, Aimee, for being here today. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge so sweetly, so
Thank you for
generously.
having me. Thank you. It's been really fun to chat.
So that was part 2 of our conversation with Aimee. And tell me that it's really opened a new way of thinking for you. I hope that you are kind of considering what if collaboration is a way that you would like to take? What if you are feeling a little bit lonely in your journey? What if you are thinking of, opening up a new style? What if you are thinking of adding new kind of photos in your portfolio? What if there is a gap that you need to fill in your creative path? So many benefits of actually collaborating. And like I said, Aimee taught us that there is only good that can come out of it. So I hope that these episodes, part 1 and part 2 of our conversation with Aimee on collaborations, I hope they have opened a new way of you to look at your creative path and to take a few friendships, a few creative souls, and a new way of seeing art along with yourself, so that you no longer feel lonely. All right? If you do, you know what you need to do. Send me an email on hello@myfoodlens.com or DM me on Instagram at Gyuthama_myfoodlens. All right? I'll see you next week with another episode. Until then, bye-bye.